private pilot check ride about the FAR AIM Part 61.1, Appliance Ability and Definitions. Appliance Ability and Definitions. So what is this uh, unit talks about? It talks about the requirements of a pilot, flying instructor, or ground instructor certificate and ratings. It is the privileges and limitations of each pilot with their certificate and ratings. So some definitions. What is pilot time? So pilot time is when you're acting as a pilot or a crew member that is receiving, is flying or is receiving training. Solo flight time. You want to know what solo is? So solo flight time is when you're the only person on board of a flight. Then you have flight training. It is a uh, instruction by authorized instructor. Ground training. It is um, ground lessons with a authorized ground instructor, which can be logged. Training time, so it is the time of flying, flight instructing, it is ground instructions, and flight time. So it's really just combining all of those into one mass pile of training time. Cross country, meaning it is when you start from point A, point B, two different airports that stretches over 50 nautical miles from start and finish. It's really important that it must be over 50 nautical miles. Then night is a definition between 1 hour after sunset and 1 hour before sunrise. Then we have day. Day is a definition of the beginning of morning civil twilight and end of evening civil twilight. Then we have logbook and record keeping. You must have your logbook. Logbook shows the amount of hours you spent time flying an aircraft. Then we have endorsements. It is the authorized privilege of the solo knowledge test. That is signed by an instructor. Then we have recreational pilot. It is a pilot with a lower private pilot license with limitations. Then we have sport pilot, so it's a light sport category, limited privileges. And then we have private pilot, which we are mainly focusing about. It is your target certificates, allows you to be a pilot in command of most aircrafts. That is not for pay or hire, and you must be paid less than the pro rata share. Then we have 61.2, exercise of privileges. No person may exercise the privilege of a certificate rating or authorization issued under this part unless that person complies with the applianceability requirements of this part. So what does that mean? That means that you can't legally fly with a pilot certificate unless you are current. That means you have 3 takeoffs and landings within 3 months. That means you're qualified, passed your knowledge test, and received proper endorsements. Then your aircraft is in compliance with any regulations or certificates of that rating. That's if, but you may never know. Then we have some examples. So you're holding a private pilot license, but you haven't flown in 3 years. Can you act as pilot in command? The answer would be no. You must have 3 takeoffs and landings each 3 months. After that, your private pilot may be not valid. You flew in last week, but your medical certificate just expired. You cannot. You must have a medical to fly. You just got your private pilot license and are fully current. Yes, you are current once you just got your private pilot license. So within that 3 months when you got it, you must have 3 takeoffs and landings. You hold a instrument rating but have done IFR currency in over 6 months. For VFR, yes, but IFR would be no. You can fly under that situation within a VFR, but IFR is something different. So what is the types of privileges? You can act as pilot in command under VFR conditions, carry passengers but not for compensation. You can fly cross country, fly at night with proper training and recency. And then you must um, meet your medical requirements, flight review, recent experience, and endorsements. What is a currency? Currency means that you're legally allowed to use a pilot certifications, especially when you're acting as pilot in command or carrying passengers. It does not mean proficiency. You can't be legally current but still rusty or unsafe. Then we have three types of examples. Um, so one is a flight review. You must complete a flight review within every 24 calendar months to act as pilot in command. Includes 1 hour ground, 1 hour flight with a CFI. And then you must have proper logbook endorsements from your instructor. Then you have your passenger carry currency. You must have 3 takeoffs and landings within 90 days while carrying passengers within the same class but type if it's required. And it must be a full stop um, night currency. You must carry passengers at night within the past 90 days. 3 takeoffs and landings at a full stop within the same category class and if type. Night is defined by 1 hour after sunset to 1 hour before sunrise. Then we have 61.3 requirements for certificates, ratings, and authorizations. This regulation explains what document must be legally on you to legally act as a required flight crew member or pilot in command. So you must have your pilot license, your photo ID or government issued ID, and your medical certificate. Then you have your endorsements and authorizations. Ratings or endorsements must be appropriate to the same flown category. Then is your type rating requirements for certain aircraft. So a type is that it is carrying more than 12,500 pounds, turbojet powered aircraft. The administrator says you only need one of those two. You can't act as pilot in command of the aircraft unless you have the type rating on your certificate. Then we have a foreign pilot requirements. If you're flying foreign, a pilot's license in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. in a foreign registered aircraft, special rules apply. You don't need to memorize these unless planning to fly internationally. Then you have your temporary certificate. It is a temporary certificate that is valid for up to 120 days. That's after your check ride, suspension or revocation or denial. You cannot act as pilot in command when you are suspended, revoked, or you're denied, or you failed a re-examination required by the FAA or the failed your medical. So this is a summary of what you should have on you when you're acting as a pilot, when you're acting as a pilot in command or a crew member. So pilot certificates, government ID, and then your medical certificate, logbook with endorsements, and if the type rating requirements.